The military ship Eclipse hummed through the vast darkness of space, its hull glinting faintly under distant starlight and the blue glow of nearby nebulae. Captain Lorien had ordered the vessel into a remote sector for patrol, and the crew moved with precision, each aware of the tension that came with venturing into unsettled space. Among them, the human engineer, Ethan, walked down the narrow corridor toward the crew quarters with a toolkit clutched in his hand and a deep sense of anticipation. He had spent years on various vessels, but this assignment was unlike any he had faced before. Ethan had been briefed that he would be sharing his quarters with an alien enchantress named Elara, a diplomat and occasionally a tactical consultant for the military. Elara was known across several systems not just for her strategic mind, but for her uncanny ability to influence situations through her presence and insight. Humans were rare among her usual companions, and she often appeared aloof or even disdainful toward their kind. Ethan, however, was determined to do his job and keep the interaction professional. When Ethan entered the quarters, he found Elara already there, standing near the window of the small cabin and gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. Her form was graceful and tall, her skin reflecting faint hues that shifted like liquid light under the cabin's illumination. She turned slowly as he stepped inside, her eyes locking on him with a mixture of curiosity and mild amusement. "I suppose this arrangement will be tolerable," she said, her voice melodic but firm. Ethan nodded, keeping his tone neutral. "I just need space to work on the ship's systems and maintain order, that's all." Elara inclined her head slightly, studying him for a long moment. "Humans are usually more anxious in shared quarters," she said, a hint of a smile touching her lips. Ethan set down his toolkit and began organizing his instruments along the small workbench, trying not to show the nerves that fluttered beneath his calm exterior. He had read reports about Elara's abilities, her tactical brilliance, and her subtle yet powerful influence on those around her. He knew the coming days would test not just his technical skills but also his patience and resolve. The first night on the ship passed quietly, though the hum of the engines seemed louder in the confined quarters. Ethan worked on stabilizing the ship's energy conduits while Elara observed silently, occasionally asking questions that revealed her deep understanding of complex engineering concepts. Ethan found himself surprised by her knowledge, which surpassed that of many human engineers he had worked with. By the second day, their routines began to intertwine. Ethan would handle repairs and system checks while Elara monitored tactical readouts and communicated with command channels. Despite their initial formal demeanor, they began to recognize the complementary nature of their skills. Where Ethan saw the nuts and bolts of the ship, Elara saw patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities that often went unnoticed. One afternoon, an alert sounded through the vessel. A swarm of hostile drones had been detected approaching their sector. The ship's automated defenses were active, but the captain ordered the crew to prepare for potential boarding attempts. Ethan and Elara immediately coordinated. He reinforced bulkheads and rerouted power to shield generators, while she calculated optimal defensive patterns and projected likely entry points. Their collaboration was seamless. Where the drones expected hesitation, the human and the alien acted with precision, and the ship's defenses neutralized the threat with minimal damage. After the encounter, the two returned to their quarters exhausted but strangely exhilarated. Elara leaned against the wall, her luminous eyes reflecting both relief and admiration. "You humans are resilient," she said quietly, almost to herself. Ethan, wiping his hands on a cloth, looked up at her. "We survive because we have to," he replied, a trace of humor in his voice. "We adapt faster than most species expect." A week passed, and their shared quarters became a space of unexpected camaraderie. They discussed engineering principles, tactical theory, and even stories from their respective worlds. Elara spoke of her home planet, a place where light and energy flowed in patterns that resonated with the natural rhythm of life, and Ethan shared tales of human ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. One evening, as the ship cruised near a dense asteroid belt, a critical malfunction occurred in the navigation system. Without proper guidance, the Eclipse risked collision with several massive asteroids. Ethan and Elara had only minutes to act. Ethan worked frantically at the console, rerouting energy and patching circuits, while Elara used her intuition and rapid calculations to predict safe trajectories through the shifting field. The tension was palpable. Metal groaned as the ship maneuvered and alarms echoed through the corridors. In that moment, their partnership transcended mere duty. Elara guided Ethan's hands when he faltered, and he executed maneuvers she suggested with precise timing. By the time the last asteroid passed, both were breathing heavily, covered in sweat but alive. Elara regarded Ethan with a new level of respect. "Your species possesses a courage that defies logic," she said softly. "Most would have frozen in the face of such chaos." Ethan smiled, a little tired, a little proud. "We survive not because we are fearless, but because we refuse to yield," he said. The following days saw more encounters with hostile forces, environmental hazards, and system failures. Through each challenge, Ethan and Elara's cooperation grew more intuitive. They began anticipating each other's actions, complementing strengths and compensating for weaknesses. The human engineer learned to trust her instincts, while the alien Enchantress appreciated his relentless determination and practical ingenuity. During long shifts in the ship's maintenance bays, they shared conversations that revealed glimpses of personality beyond duty. Elara admitted that she often felt constrained by the expectations of her people and the rigid discipline of military life. Ethan shared his own doubts and struggles, explaining how survival often required improvisation and persistence. Each story built understanding, forging a bond that neither had expected when they first met. One night, while the ship drifted through the quiet emptiness of an uncharted sector, the two sat near the observation window, the stars casting soft reflections across their faces. "I never imagined I would find companionship with a human," Elara admitted. Ethan chuckled softly. "I never imagined I would be sharing quarters with an alien who can read situations like you do," he replied. "I suppose the universe has its ways of surprising us." A sudden alert interrupted the moment. A distress signal emanated from a nearby derelict vessel. The captain ordered an investigation, and Ethan and Elara prepared to assist. The ship's smaller shuttle descended toward the ghostly outline of the drifting craft. Inside, they found remnants of a crew caught in a temporal anomaly, systems failing, and life support on the brink of collapse. Working together, Ethan stabilized critical systems while Elara coordinated with the ship to extract the survivors safely. Their synergy was flawless, blending human persistence and alien intuition into a single force capable of extraordinary outcomes. By the time the last survivor was aboard the Eclipse, both were exhausted but gratified. As the shuttle returned to the main ship, Ethan looked at Elara and said, "You know, we make a good team." Elara's eyes softened, the glow dimming to a warm hue. "Perhaps the humans have more to offer than I assumed," she admitted. Months passed, and the two continued to face the unpredictable dangers of space together. Their shared quarters became more than a place to sleep and work. It became a center of strategy, discussion, and trust. The crew began to notice the quiet efficiency of their collaboration, often marveling at how two beings from entirely different worlds could complement each other so perfectly. One day, a massive enemy fleet appeared on sensors, threatening not just the Eclipse but the entire sector. The captain called a full tactical meeting, and Ethan and Elara were at the center of planning. The human engineer focused on reinforcing systems and creating contingency plans, while the alien Enchantress analyzed patterns, predicted enemy behavior, and suggested maneuvers that seemed impossible. When the engagement began, their coordination was critical. Energy shields pulsed in response to incoming fire, engines adjusted dynamically to evasive patterns, and targeting systems locked with precision. The human and alien worked in tandem, each action reinforcing the other's strategy, and the fleet managed to repel the attackers with minimal casualties. After the battle, the captain commended them both, noting that their partnership had saved the ship and countless lives. Ethan and Elara, standing side by side in the aftermath, shared a look of mutual respect and unspoken understanding. "Do you think humans are truly exceptional?" Elara asked quietly as they returned to their quarters. Ethan smiled faintly. "I think we have a way of rising to the challenge no matter the odds," he said. "Sometimes that is enough to make the impossible possible." Elara nodded, a soft light shimmering across her features. "I have learned much from you," she admitted. "And I from you," Ethan replied. The vastness of space continued outside their window, a constant reminder of the unknown and the dangerous. Yet inside their shared quarters, a sense of balance and trust had grown, stronger than any threat they might face. They had begun as reluctant companions, but through shared challenges, danger,